wrong before. And this is a very important characteristic to have. Likewise, he should frighten himself. And this is another way of, reducing his anger. He should frighten himself and remind himself of the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to think to himself that actually the punishment of Allah upon me is greater than my punishment upon this person who I'm angry with. If I take revenge upon this man for my anger, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take revenge upon me on the Day of Judgment. And I'm much more in need of forgiveness, and so I should also show forgiveness to this man. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhum ar-Rahman." That those who show forgiveness or mercy, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ar-Rahman, shows mercy to them. He should also warn himself against the consequences of enmity or revenge and glee at misfortune of his disputants. He should also remember that he's not free from being afflicted by any calamity at any time, just like them. So this also should reduce his anger. He should think to himself that, well, I'm not free from this. I might do something bad in the same way. And also he should think about his ugly appearance. And we spoke about that at the beginning of this episode as well. The disgusting appearance that he looks. Perhaps if a person looks in the mirror, he'll see some of these weird characteristics of that angry person. So he should remember that in this state of anger, he's the one furthest away from the manners of the prophets and the noble scholars of Islam. And he shouldn't think. He should think over the cause that invites him to take revenge. So for example, the cause of the anger may be that the shaitan comes to him and says, hey, don't sit there and take these insults. This person, he's just insulted you. Don't sit there and take this. Let's have an example of that from Ali radiallahu anhu. This happened in a battlefield. Do you know the example?
Was it the one where the person who was fighting spat at him?
Yeah, exactly, that's the one. Let's hear about that.
I believe in a battle he was about to kill one of the disbelievers, and just as he was about to kill him, the person spat in his face, so he left him.
Yeah, it was a Jew. He was about to kill the Jew in the battlefield, and the Jew spat at him.
So he left him. He didn't kill him. So I think the Jew was very obviously surprised as to why. He asked him why, and he said, I believe that because when you spat at me, I was going to kill you out of the anger.
Exactly.
Of you doing something to myself, as opposed to for the sake of Allah.
Yes. So we can see how important it is to judge, why am I getting angry? If Ali radiallahu anhu had killed him because of the anger, then this would have been a big sin upon him. But he realized this and he didn't do this. And we'll talk about this a bit more inshallah after the break. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم.
And people need each others, need scholars more than they need to drink and eat. Because even regarding what we drink and eat, we may not be able to figure out which is permissible and which is not. The Quran is not preserved in the books only. The seerah of Prophet Muhammad is not preserved in the books only, but in the hearts of men, in the hearts of people who have devoted their time to seeking knowledge. Believe and trust, tawakkul, that none could take place without the knowledge of Allah.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We were talking before about some of the remedies for anger. The next remedy that we look at is that the person who is afflicted with this disease of excessive anger, then he should remember that his anger has been caused by something that happened according to Allah's decree. And nothing happens except by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. And so this wasn't his own will often. He should say to himself, why did I get angry? Why should I get angry? Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has willed, then that has happened. So he should know that Allah's will is more deserving of him being pleased with than his own will. And this is a very important point. So for example, if a person comes along and he's angry because he got demotion, for example, at work. Okay, he got demoted at work. Rather than getting angry about it, of course he can't perhaps help his internal state, but he should control his anger. And rather than lashing out or something like that, he should say to himself, actually, this is by Allah's will. And I shouldn't actually get angry, because if I'm getting angry with this, then I'm actually getting angry with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. He should also remember that excessive anger often leads to actions that he will regret. And he'll feel remorseful. He should save himself the embarrassment of having to apologize for actions that he'll later be ashamed of. And we saw that in the example that you gave
of the cafe
in the last episode. Can you just repeat that for the viewers?
As I said in the last episode, there were two partners. They had a cafe, and actually they broke the cafe because they were angry with each other.
They split up as partners.
Yeah. Because they were angry with each other.
And they got into a fight or something?
No.
No?
Just with words.
Okay.
Yes.
Because of words. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's sometimes worse.
Yes.
Sometimes when the person speaks with his tongue, it's
worse than beating each other.
Yeah. So the person felt regret afterwards?
Yes. But actually they didn't apologize to each other. Because, sometimes it's hard to apologize.
Now, if they'd implemented this point, if they, at the time of getting angry, they felt, actually, if I say something now, it will lead to bad consequences.
Yes.
And it will lead to regret. It will lead to embarrassment. And it will lead to bad, consequences. If they thought that, would that have cured that problem at that time?
Yes, I think so.
And you'll see that a lot of these remedies are practical remedies that we can do, that we can think about at that time. The next remedy, he should remind himself that people actually avoid and keep away from people who have a short temper. And if he continues in his anger, he'll end up by himself, possibly losing his family, friends and job. And it's therefore appropriate for him to ensure that he controls his anger. I'm sure we've all seen this. I mean, there's often people where you just avoid. And one of the reasons is, if he's coming this way, you go home the other way. Why? Because of his anger. Because any little thing that a person does, he'll get angry, he'll get irritated, and so it's best to avoid that person, otherwise we'll end up into an argument. He should also seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the rejected shaitan, as the Prophet ﷺ ordered us to do. Let's take your example, Muhammad. Repeat it for the viewers. You gave an example in the last episode about someone getting angry.
Yeah, I mentioned in the last episode that, for instance, if a group of friends are playing football or any type of sports, and one of them in the other team perhaps does something that the other team dislikes, or maybe they dislike a decision that the referee made, then most likely